Get your Ultra Instinct shirts at tpublic.com/user/o.m.g Corey B. Ladies and gentlemen, Dragon Ball Super episode 127 review. Ladies and gents, this was supposed to be a top 3 moments from this episode, but I watched it and there was so much that ticked me off to where I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and do a full review of it from a fan standpoint only. And I pick a fine time to start doing Dragon Ball Super reviews. We're about to go out on this thing, but I love it so much. We're in the heart of the Tournament of Power. So I'm not gonna waste any more time. We're gonna get right into it. Last week we had Toppo going out. Vegeta took out Toppo, but this week we started off with Jiren powering up. Huge power up, fire power up, and literally a fire power up, but that's beside the point. But we started off with a handicap match of sorts, 17 versus Goku, 17 Goku and Vegeta versus Jiren. And the first thing I noticed was, how in the world is Vegeta at full power? Just last week, Piccolo explained that, and we went back on that timeline and showed that Vegeta sacrificed himself. And last week, Piccolo said that, okay, he had enough power this time to where he used all of his power. He did enough to stay alive. How is he at full power right now, right at the beginning of the episode, after that just happened? But that's beside the point. As the fight went on, Jiren is taking these guys out left and right. Even Goku went Super KO Ken. That wasn't enough. He threw a Kamehameha at him, and Jiren just mauled that thing out of here. And I mean, Jiren is just, I got my thing with Jiren into where I think he's just overpowered, but it is what it is. After he does all of that, 17 sneak attacks Jiren and does some damage, does some minor damage to him. And the first thing I said was, well, how did he do that? They've been trying to sneak attack Jiren for the entire Tournament of Power, and it hasn't worked. So 17 just out of nowhere gets a blast and it works. So I didn't understand that. So they hitch up this plan to where they say that 17 says that they need to come at him, and then they need to hit him with a sneak attack after they put on a coordinated attack as well. So what I have right here, what I have written down, is that they came at Jiren and then Jiren just blocked everything. Just literally, he blocked every single thing. And, you know, like I said, I don't like him being that powered up. And moving on here, as they went on to attack him, Jiren just stands there as they are throwing blast after blast after blast at him. And nothing is working. Even Frieza tries to hop in. That doesn't work. He just stares Frieza down. Frieza goes to the floor. So eventually we get to a point to where 17 is facing off with Jiren, and he jokes about the Super Dragon Balls and how when he wins he's going to take his family on a cruise. And that's when we got the interesting backstory to Jiren, to which I thought was the best part of the episode in my opinion. We got the backstory on Baby Jiren. I thought this was just excellent. Baby Jiren, his family got killed by evildoers. There was nothing he could do. He tried to fight the evildoers once again, but he lost all of his friends again. And it was explained that this was why Jiren was so obsessed with getting strong and gaining strength. And I thought it was a good moment in the episode. To me, that, like I said, it was my favorite moment of the episode. We got some backstory on Jiren. And to be honest, they never talked about who did it. And with Dragon Ball Super going away for good, I kind of looked at this moment as a moment to where after this tournament was over, that was the next villain, that was the next head honcho to take down. But we'll never know. So going back into the tournament, 17 is just provoking Jiren left and right. and really getting him upset. Really talked about how he wanted to, nothing was going to avenge what happened to him in the past. Really getting him upset. And it came down to it. Jiren 17 got in a huge fight, and towards the end, Jiren throws this huge blast. 17 is standing there to take every single bit of it. He tries to cover up, but it's not working. So 17 says, you know what? I'm going to throw my energy to Goku and Vegeta, and you know what? I'm going to take this blast head on. I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good, for the team to win in the end. So he does that. 17 sacrifices himself, and at this moment I'm thinking, well, okay, 17 is going to pop up with the rest of the crew in the stands. He sacrificed himself. It's down to Goku and Vegeta and Frieza. And no. 17 not only sacrificed himself for the greater good, he exploded himself for the greater good. So the way old Kai explained it was that, and this is, we're about to get into the point eventually, to where I looked at this episode and it just ticked me off. Old Kai explained points where he sacrificed himself and that he killed himself, and that's what happened. And I'm sitting there thinking right here, I'm thinking, okay, Goku and Vegeta was taken out by Jiren, and you mean to tell me that Goku and Vegeta was laying there all that time? They was laying there for a long time. Throughout the better part of the rest of the episode, after they got sent to the ground, they couldn't get out the way? You mean to tell me they couldn't roll out of the way of a blast to where a 17 just had to take that on for the greater good? And I mean, you look at the options here. If you think this is really the end, why not just take on the blast and let Frieza win? That could be an option as well. I mean, I understand it from a certain standpoint that they wouldn't want Frieza to have that wish with the Super Dragon Ball, so I get it from that standpoint. But what another thing that I do not get is, if Jiren is the last one in his universe, and we have acknowledged that this blast would have killed 17, Goku, and Vegeta, why is Jiren even throwing the blast in the first point? Like, why would he do that only to get disqualified? It makes no sense, and that's my gripe with this entire tournament. It is really, there have really been moments where I've looked at it and I've said, like, really? Come on. So here's just the cherry on top that I really got upset. Old Kai explains what happens. Excuse me. And then the Grand Priest jumps up and says, well, you know what? We can only assume that 17 took his life. Therefore, Jiren does not get disqualified. We can only assume. That's the rules now? We can only assume that, therefore, Jiren is not disqualified? We don't have the footage on the pads that the Kais watch on. I can understand, like, they could have at least said, we're going to go back to the footage that the Kais are walking on, like NFL replay or something. We need indisputable evidence. And we go back on the pads and we see that 17 sacrificed himself, and then the Grand Priest looked at that and said, you see, 17 sacrificed himself, therefore Jiren is still alive in this tournament of power. No, we didn't get none of that. The Grand Priest said, we have to assume. I mean, we can't assume that Jiren killed 17, therefore Jiren is eliminated. Why can't we assume that? It makes no sense. And stand on course here. We got to the end, and we have to stand off with Vegeta and Jiren, and supposedly the narrator says that it's going to be some type of final fight between Vegeta and Jiren. So I can only assume that, are we seeing the end of Vegeta here? Are we seeing Vegeta get knocked out? Who knows what's gonna happen? There's still minutes to go in this tournament. Obviously, it's not ending next week, so we'll see what happens. But overall, in this episode, look, I mean, I was really liking it until it just started to not make any sense whatsoever. And it's just the Grand Priest, when he got up there and he said, "We have to assume," that's when I just threw up my hands like, come on, man. This entire tournament of power, when I look back on it, I'm pretty sure, and I'm already feeling this way right now, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna feel like this was one of the most disappointing arcs in Dragon Ball history. And I say that purely as a fan only. Just as a fan, not somebody that breaks it down, but as a fan only. I had so much expectation for this arc. We've had phenomenal moments, don't get me wrong, with the Goku going Ultra Instinct, the Saiyans fighting off in, what was the episode 100? The 100th episode where the Saiyans fought off. Moment after moment after moment, Vegeta powering up into, what are they calling it, Limit Breaker now. Just excellent moments. But overall, the bad has certainly, without question, outweighed the good. The nonsense has outweighed the intrigue and the good moments in this whole arc. And like, I'm at a point now to where I'm thinking, let's just get this over with. Let's just, however it's gonna end, because at the end of the day, something's gonna happen at the end to where, it's a crazy finish. And, we're not gonna just get a down the middle finish. Something's gonna happen at the end. I don't know what, but something's gonna happen at the end. But overall, it's just, this arc has really made me upset. Just another marker in the book with this recent episode. It's like they take one step forward and like 2 or 3 steps back to where we get to something that does not make sense. So that's my thoughts on this episode. I'll be back here next week. Maybe I'll do a top 3. Maybe I'll do the whole episode. I'll look at the whole episode. But we'll see. I'm the intrigue that I have left is that I want to see how the ending happens. That's my only intrigue left. We'll see how that goes down. Join me next week. You can get your Ultra Instinct shirts at tpublic.com. I'll leave the link in the comments. Like this video if you're a lover of Dragon Ball Super, and let me know what were your thoughts on this episode. Did you enjoy it a whole lot more than I did? Or did you think it made sense? What the Grand Priest said at the end? Just all of your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Comment down below.